Hello YouTube, Captain Mac here, and welcome back to the life of a virtual airline pilot. You may recall our last flight we flew down to Tucson from Memphis up in Oregon, and today we're going to be flying from Tucson up to Reno, Nevada, KTUS to KRNO. Let's take a look at the plan of the day. Using our Sim Toolkit Pro once again, it's going to be a Alaska Airlines Flight 2113 from Tucson to Reno, Tahoe. Air distance 639 nautical miles, not a very long flight. Trip fuel is 8,755 pounds with a final reserve of 2,269 pounds. And we're looking at block fuel of 15,386 pounds. Come down here and take a real quick look at our payload. 146 packs on board today. Just a little bit of cargo, 300 pounds. Total payload, 33,900 pounds. Zero fuel weight is 118,000 pounds on the nose. And takeoff weight of 132,900 pounds. And then landing weight is 124,100 pounds. Everything well under our maximums. Taking a real quick look at our charts. Here's the route here, pretty straightforward. I don't think you can, yeah, it doesn't really show you the waypoints here, but there's our route basically. Let's take a look at wind. Should be this one here. That's 340. A lot of crosswinds, a little bit of a tailwind as we get a little closer to Reno, not much though. And then we're going up to 380, so pretty much the winds are just about the same. They're pretty strong up there. I forget off the top of my head. I've always been really bad with these wind charts. I believe the longer flag is 10 knots. No, I'm not positive on that though. In fact, I'm almost positive I'm wrong. I need to look that up again. Always struggled with the weather charts. I don't know why. They just, I don't know. Even when I did my real world private pilot's license, I just struggled with these weather charts for some reason. So here again, like this one doesn't really make sense to me. Is the wind blowing up? It's really not. I think it's saying that we're going to have a crosswind here. Again, just a little bit of a tailwind as we're heading in there. So pretty straightforward stuff. And then there's a little bit of a isolated embedded thunderstorms near Tucson, but it doesn't look like it's going to affect us. So that's pretty much the plan of the day. What do you say we climb up in the office and get to work? Alright, as I normally do, I've actually already started passenger boarding. Taking a real quick look, our flight planning and dispatch has been taken care of. Aircraft acceptance, as far as that goes. Fuel's loaded, doors, stairs, ready for boarding. We've already begun boarding, so we're ready to go with all of that. So let's take care of our cockpit acceptance checklist. Starting with our parking brake needs to be set, and I'm certain that it's not, so there we go. And then moving on down, battery should already be on. We are running on ground power right now, and that's been my thing for a little while now. We'll run on the ground power until we're ready to push and start, so we're not burning extra fuel. Electric hydraulic pumps are in the off position, which they are. And I'm going to write something on here because I'm thinking about it right now, and I always forget it. And it should be probably right here. Testing the lights, and you'll see what I'm talking about when we get to that, as long as I remember to do it. I've got so many extra things written on my checklist here, it's crazy. Landing gear is down and locked, obviously. Start levers are in the cutoff position, that's these guys down here. And then overhead fuel valve lights should be illuminated. They are. I don't think we have any fuel in the center tank, but we'll take a look. Ground power is on. Fire warning systems need to be tested. So you're going to left click this, you get the lights in the middle, right click, you get the bells and all the lights, and then this one you should get those 3 green lights on both sides. And I've said this before, if there's something I'm missing on that test or something I'm not understanding, let me know down in the comments so that we can square it away. We'll arm the emergency lights. This doesn't arm the emergency exits, it just arms the lights. Signs both can go on. There we go. Recirc fan should be on auto. That's this guy here, and it is. Engine bleeds are off. They're always on when I first come in. And then passenger boarding would be commenced, and then start our checking our lights. So this is our that's over here. Right click it, move away from it, and then you can see all of our lights are working properly. Everything down here is illuminated as well. and all the lights up here illuminated. And I don't know, I forget to do that all the time, but it's important that we do that. So there it is, there you have it. There's our cockpit acceptance checklist. Alright, pressing on then, let's take care of our overhead panel setup. Jumping up top here. Yaw damper is supposed to come on, but again, without the APU running or any hydraulics going, it clicks back off. So fuel pumps on as required. They're all in the off position. That's where they need to be right now. IFE passenger and cabin utility, which is the galley switch, is what I've been told. That needs to be on, which it is. And let's see, equipment cooling is normal and lights off. Excuse me. Hold on. Okay, there we go. Clear my throat a little bit. Window heat and probe heat. Window heat needs to come on. Let's test it first. So left click and that tests the on, and then right click and that tests the overheat. And then we can turn all 4 of those on. Probe heat will stay off for now. Anti-ice is off. System A and B switches all need to be on. These here, and then these low pressure lights should go off. Now you would think, because that's the electric hydraulic pump, so you would think that the yaw damper would stay on now, but it doesn't. So moving on. Air conditioning panel, left and right packs both need to be to auto. Left click each of those. Isolation valve should be in the open position, which it is. And we're going to be cruising at 38,000 feet today, and just like in the last flight, hold on, let me put that at 38,000. I forgot to check our field altitude before diving fully in here. So let me go and pull up the chart real quick. Take 2 seconds here, maybe a little more than 2 seconds, but okay, there's our chart, and we're looking at 4,415 feet going into Reno today. So 4415, come on. So 4450, that's closer to 4400, so I'm going to put it at 4400 there, alright? Moving on here, let's see, that's our pressure altitude, landing altitude, exterior lighting as required, and then ignition left or right. We ran it on the left last time, let's put it on the right this time, and that takes care of setting up the overhead panel. So you guys have spent enough time with me or with this aircraft yourself to know that it's really a pretty easy aircraft to learn and to fly as far as the basics of it. And I want to be clear about that. There's a lot of in-depth stuff about this and every other aircraft that I have no idea about, but I don't fly a 737 in the real world. But as far as flying it for flight simulation and being relatively true and accurate to real-world procedures, it's not too hard. I do stress relatively true, not completely true, before somebody beats me up down in the comments there. Let's go ahead and jump into our FMC here. You know what we didn't do, and I wrote it on here, but I always forget. We need to align the IRS. So right click twice on both of them, and then once the align light comes on, then we'll left click them once over to align, and now we can carry on with our FMC initialization. So first things first, make sure we're in the right model, engine rating, and make sure that our AirAct cycle is up to date. I don't know what OP program is. If somebody knows, let me know. I never really paid any attention to it, to be honest with you. Let's put in KTUS first. That gives us a reference there, 3207-110-56. If we go to page 2, 3207-110-56, so we know we're close. Put that in here for our IRS position, and there we go, the alignment begins. Jumping over to route, we're going to use a company route today. It's going to be KTUS. KRNO. Oh, it already had KTUS in there, didn't it? It does that, and I always forget that it does that. KTUS KRNO. There we go, put that in company route. Flight number is 2113. That in there, activate, execute, and take a quick look. PXR, EED, Betty, J92 to OAL, and I'm just looking over here, and it looks like we got everything in there. Now let's take care of departure and arrival first, or just departure. The wind is 240, I believe it was. Let me double check. 260 at 7 knots. So with 260 at 7 knots, we're going to be taking runway 29 left. Should be left. My brain doesn't want to work. 29 right. It's not right. Or it's not left. It's right. So runway 29 right is going to be our runway. and then we're taking the Tucson 8 departure, and we are going out to PXR. So let's see if it lets us transition at PXR. It does. Fantastic. Select all that, execute. Now if you go to your legs page, here you go. This is our departure. Brain's not functioning properly. PXR ED, there's a hiccup for you. We just had dinner. And then all the way out to MVA. It's not very far. I thought we'd have a lot more legs in there actually. Did that like totally delete my route? No, I still got 3 pages. Yep, there it is. Okay, well, we haven't put our arrival in yet. We could put our arrival in maybe. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. Let's see. Are they runway specific? We're supposed to be taking the Ryan 1 arrival. And it looks like it's not specific to a certain runway, so we'll go ahead and select that, and then if we go back to our legs page, that'll put a few more in there, and that'll give us time to get set up for the approach before we start our top of descent. Hopefully that makes sense. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you'll see when we get there. Go to performance initialization. 0 fuel weight should be 118,000. There it is. And reserves, we said we're going to be, what, 2.2 basically. And cost index will be 85. It was planned for a cost index of 5. Not really sure why, but we're going to go with 85. And then it's going to be flight level 380. Put that in there, execute that, go to N1 limit. We got lots of runway to work with. It's basically 11,000 feet of runway. We're not super duper heavy. I think we can do a takeoff 1 without any problem, and a climb 1 should work out just fine as well. And then go to our takeoff page. Flaps will be 5. Center of gravity, I didn't look at it, should be around 24-ish. Yep, 24.2, 131, 132, 136. And so that I don't forget to do it in a little while, 5.55 on the trim. Come on down. Oh, we just passed it. There we go, 5.55 on the trim, and that takes care of our FMC initialization and flight planning. Alright, a little bit of work to do here. Let's get the flight directors on first. Get the auto throttle on. We said we're 136 is V2, so we'll put this at 141. There we go, 141. There we go. And then runway heading is going to be 303 degrees. And then real quick, just looking to see if there's any altitude restrictions for our departure here. Wow, this thing's crazy. Oh, there's the boarding complete. That's nice. Let's put this one on legs real quick. I just want to double check something while we're here. Tucson B-ball, yep. Yeah, so no altitude restrictions, no maximum altitudes anyway, and that's our main concern here. So I'm going to just go right on up to 380. Obviously, if you're flying with ATC, you get your clearance for whichever altitude from ATC. We can arm the LNAV and the VNAV. No, we cannot, because we need to go ahead and finish the alignment. That's the wrong key. We need to go up here. Should be done aligning. Right click, right click. You get some numbers up here, you know you're probably good. There we go. Alignment's complete. Now we can arm the LNAV and the VNAV. And what is our current altimeter setting? It is 29902, surprisingly enough. That's not very often you see standard pressure altitude, right? Anyway, moving on. While I'm looking at it, put that on the engines page. We need to arm the auto brakes, put them to RTO, not arm them. My brain is only half working right now for some reason. Let's take a look at our checklist so I don't get lost here. Minimums are fine. We'll leave those as they are. The altimeter is set. We're set on map. We don't need the center switch or anything like that. Flight directors are on. MCP speed is set. The auto throttles are armed. Runway heading is dialed in. Altitude, we're set for our initial clearance, which will just be 380 for us. Autopilots are off. No flags on the PFD. Auto brake is RTO. We do need to take care of radios down here. Specifically, what we need to take care of is putting this to 2336 because that's what we're using for now. I was trying again to fly this one with POSCON, but I'm still getting an error. So until that gets resolved, I won't be using any ATC, but hopefully it gets resolved soon. Go ahead and test our TCAS there. Speed brake is down, thrust levers are idle, engine start levers are cut off, and stabilizer trim is set. That takes care of our main panel setup. Alright, with all of that done, we're about ready to push and start. First things first, let's go down here and let's take care of closing our doors. Actually, because it's going to take a minute to do everything else, let's get the APU started here. Get that guy up and running. Now we'll come down here to close doors real quick. Doors, close, close. I'm pretty sure that's what they're telling us, right? Yeah, just wait for us to close doors. And then next page, close the cargo doors as well. And return, and then ground connections will be next on there. But before we do that, let's take a look at our checklist here. Passenger boarding is completed. A-cars has been started. Doors are closed and locked. We have our clearance for push. Throttles are at idle. Start levers are off. Packs need to go off. Right click them. There we go. APU is coming up and running. It'll be ready to go here in just a second. Then we'll check the bleed air pressure. All the fuel pumps need to come on. And again, I don't believe we have any fuel in the center tank. But let's just double check. No, we don't. Anti-collision light can go on at this point. Parking brake, that's just once we're ready for pushback. Okay, so let's send the power out from the APU. Turn the ground power off. Come back down here and go over to our ground connections. We can disconnect these guys, disconnect or remove the chocks. Put that over on the legs page, which it is. And let's request our pushback. Probably could have done that as we were kind of getting things ready there, but that's alright. I'm going to just dim that down a little bit more. It's a little bright for me. I don't know how it is for you guys.
Hello, Captain. We're ready for pushback.
Now I need to remember to start the clock when I'm getting ready to pull onto the runway because I always forget that. Alright, so they're going to push us back here shortly. We're going to start with engine number 2. It's going to be this guy here. We'll left click it to ground start. Once we get to 25% on the N2, that's down here. Go to a better view for you. Once we get to 25% down here, then we'll go ahead and introduce fuel and let the engine start, and it's pretty simple. So now we just wait on the ground crew. You know, sometimes they're so pushy, and then other times they are so slow. Right now he's being slow as far as I'm concerned. I blame the ground crew. Alright, we'll use the quick edit pushback I made.
Departure check completed. Bypass pin inserted. Release parking brakes. Commencing push. All engines clear. Start at will.
Look over here, make sure A-Cars has started, which it has. It starts once you release the brakes. If you try to start A-Cars with the brakes off or engines running, it will not work. Left click to ground. There we go. Start valve is open. We're going to have the low pressure for a little bit here. There you can see the N2 coming up. Fuel flow stays at 0 until we move the start lever up. And then you'll see the fuel flow start to come up as well. There's 23, 4, and 5. There we go. Fuel coming in. There's the fuel flow coming up right there. There you can see the exhaust gas temperature coming up. And now the N1's starting to come up as well. So it looks like the engine is starting so far without any issues. It's going to be a short pushback here. I need to get some new announcements, don't I? I really do. I need new announcements. I think maybe I'll have one of my 21-year-old daughter has a very crazy sense of humor. I think I'll have her do it. She'll have fun with that.
Set parking brakes.
Waiting your confirmation for good engine start.
Alright, the start selector has clicked off on its own. The engine is stabilizing. And let's go ahead and start engine number 1. Same thing. Watching the N2 down here, wait till it comes up to 25%. There's 24 and 25. Wait for the fuel flow to kick in. There it goes. And I'm going to go ahead and let that engine finish starting. And I'll be back with you shortly. Alright, we've gone ahead and confirmed a good engine start with them. Let's go ahead and take a look at our after start and our taxi checklist. Engine generators need to come on. That's these two up here. So just left click both of those. While I'm looking at it, I'm going to hit that yaw damper really quick. Probe heat needs to come on as well. Both of those two right there.
Unlocking gear.
Engine bleeds can go on. Packs can go on. APU bleed can go off. Isolation valve goes to auto. Right click it once. And APU can go off now. There we go. Hit the tenant call button just because. External lights as required. Let's get the wing lights on. Taxi lights can come on as well. There we go. Master caution light should be off. Check the recall. Master caution light is this one. It is off. Click this for recall. Nothing stays on. That means we're good. And that takes us right into our taxi checklist. We've got our clearance. Ground crew just gave us the all clear, which means they're out of the way. We do need to set our flaps, however. It's going to be flaps 5, so that's 3 clicks on the flap handle there. Wait for the flaps to finish coming in. And just making sure I didn't miss anything. Get to a proper view here. Track hour coming on a little jump. There we go. And let's go ahead and take those brakes off. Start our taxi here. Give her just a little thrust to get going. And then once we get moving here, we can roll it back a little bit. We won't need much. We're not really super heavy at all. Give a salute to the guys. See you later. Alright, it's not a super long taxi. I'm going to go ahead and taxi on out, and when we get to either just before or at the hold short point, I'll come back on and we'll take care of our before takeoff procedures and checklists. Alright, we should be able to pull right out on the runway here, so let's go ahead and start taking a look at our before takeoff items here. First things first, recall needs to be checked. It's good. Speed brake, or sorry, wrong part of the checklist. Here we go. Gotta find the right spot. Master caution light is off. Flight controls have been checked. Flaps are set. Trim is set and checked. Flight directors are on. Takeoff briefing is not complete. We have. How did I miss that again? You know what? That's alright. This will be. You know what? The last video I missed it too. Apparently I need to write it in somewhere here. So that's alright. We'll pull her right up around the corner here. And I think we can probably bypass the taxi brief. Track hour coming off a little jump. And let me just grab my Sim Toolkit Pro over here. Oh, wrong one. Well, I clicked on the wrong spot. Let's take a look at our departure briefing really quick. We can get that out of the way. It's going to be the Tucson 8 departure for us today out to PXR. So we'll be departing on runway 29. And then it's out here to B-Ball. So it's going to be a right turn to 319 degrees, out to, excuse me, a little hiccup there, out to B-Ball, then out to PXR, then on course from there. Takeoff minimums are pretty much standard for us. Let's see, departure for runway 29 is going to be 119.4. Transition altitude, as always, is 18,000 feet in the area. In the entire United States, as a matter of fact. It does say, I didn't see this before, top altitude maintains 17,000. So let me throw this out of the way here real quick. That's going to be our initial clearance is to 17,000. So let me put that on here. And that takes care of our departure briefing. I'll be back momentarily because I'm going to make sure I write that on the checklist so I don't forget in the future. Alright, I got that written in on the checklist now. Let's go ahead and finish up our before takeoff procedures here. We need to get the TCAS on all the way up. There we go. Landing lights are going to need to come on. Strobe lights need to go on as well. That's that one there. And we need to hit traffic on here. Weather radar on here. Terrain radar can go on over here. And you can see there's quite a bit of terrain out there ahead of us. So good to know, right? What else we got on here? Lights are on, auto throttle is armed, transponders TARA, track IR coming on, a little jump here, there we go. We don't have anybody coming in. Let's just double check our approach path here. It looks good. Make sure there's nobody landing the other way because you know how they love to do that, the AI traffic, and I haven't turned it off yet. So alright, let's get out here on the runway. As always, there's no reason to use up any more runway than necessary while pulling out here, so we'll just take her nice and easy. Swing it around. And we are good to go. Come up and stabilize a little. And thrust ref. Crosswind messing with me there.
V1. Rotate 1. Rotate. V2. V2.
Alright, positive rate of climb. Gear is coming up. Need to turn some lights on in here soon. That helps a little. Wow, it got really choppy there, didn't it? There's our thrust reduction there. Wasn't quite where I needed to be as far as my climb rate for the flight director, but not the end of the world. Let that nose come down a little bit. It's interesting that our first waypoint is behind us. Why is it set up like that? I mean, we were set up for a... You know what? I'm going to turn this way. I know exactly what we're going to do here. Let's grab this guy. We're going to go straight to B-ball. There we go. Execute that. Man, it's being really laggy right now, isn't it? That nose come down a little bit more. Flaps 1. Looking good so far. Easy enough. But it really wants that nose to come down for the speed increase, doesn't it? Alright, flaps coming up. Turn the LNAV on. Get the autopilot on. There we go. Track iron coming off. Little jump. There it is. Alright, let's turn that guy off. You know what I forgot? I forgot to put engine start switches to continuous. These guys were supposed to go on continuous, and I forgot. Not the end of the world, though. We don't need that one. We need this guy. Let's turn the lights on up here so we can see. There we go. And then we've also got some lights back here. It's this one, I believe. There we go. Just a touch of floodlight never hurts. Alright, let's take a look at our after takeoff checklist, folks. Gear is up. The flaps are out. We have a positive rate of climb. Auto brakes are off. Engine start selectors are off. That's my bad. I didn't turn them on. And the landing gear is in the off position as well. That takes care of our after not our after landing, but our after takeoff checklist. And that means, ladies and gentlemen, you guessed it, it is time once again for some of that obligatory elevator music. Alrighty folks, just a little less than 150 nautical miles to top of descent. As always, there's a little bit of housekeeping to take care of. We want to take care of setting up our approach and all that first. Now, the weather changed on me despite the forecast. We were originally scheduled for, I gotta look at it again. I think it was runway 11, was it? Not that it matters. It was runway 16. I don't know where I got 11 from. Probably from Tucson. Anyway, the weather shifted on us, and we are now looking at wind is 040 at 8 knots, gusting to 15, which is going to make this an interesting approach. As far as our arrival is concerned, our arrival and approach, we're already coming in on, where's it at? It's not even showing up. It's the Ryan 1. And then we're going to be taking ILS 34 left. We did have to make a couple changes. We removed a waypoint after Yeren to go straight to Spoon. You'll see that on the approach here shortly. But that's all set up. Now, again, for simplicity, you can see that our altitudes are already in here. So the key, of course, is making sure that these altitudes measure up with what we're seeing on the arrival and the approach charts. For example, at Apime or Apime or however you say it, it's at or above 10,500, it's 9,400 at or above at Waggy, and then at EPOS it's 8,300, and that's a hard altitude, and so on. So all of that is programmed in there. What we can do is, first of all, let's put this back on the progress page, is we can grab our, I was actually looking forward to the approach, to be honest with you. It was going to be kind of a cool approach, but it doesn't matter. 16,000 at Ryan, which is the waypoint we got rid of. So we're basically just going to put 8,400 in there on our MCP, and that'll get us set up for our descent. I'll change that if I need to, and that'll be fine. That's a little too far. So 8,400 on there. Okay, let's take a look at our arrival and approach for the day. So here it is. It's the Ryan 1 arrival. Now this is an arrival technically for runway 16, but we stuck with it anyway because it will work out fine for us. We're going to come in at MVA, then Yeren, and then we got rid of Ryan, and we just scoot on over here, and you'll see in a second to Spoon. And that takes us onto our approach. So the ATIS is on 135.8. Keep in mind, airport elevation is quite high, 4415. Also, there's a lot of terrain out here. So highest point over here is 11,241 feet. We should be at 14,000, give or take, probably at or above 14,000 along this track. And then it's at or above 10,000 along this track. That's just our minimum safe altitude on those tracks. But you can see you got 12.3 is the highest in this sector. Somewhere in this sector is 13.6, 14.3. That's what all of these are. So there's definitely some really high terrain around here. We need to keep that in mind as we're coming in, because we're going to come right over the top of a lot of this terrain as well. Taking a look at our approach here, now you get a better view of it. Let's start with our briefing strip up here. So the ATIS again on 135.8. It is the ILS DME runway 34 left approach. NorCal approach is going to be on 119.2 for us. Reno Tower on 18.7 and ground on 21.9. Localizer frequency is 109.9 with a final approach course of 344 degrees. Glide slope intercept at EPOS 8,300 feet. Keep that in mind. ILS decision altitude is 4,946 feet, or the decision height at 536 feet. I'm probably going to put it in as a radio altitude 536 feet, so I don't have to scroll all day like I did on the last one. Missed approach procedures: climb to 11,000 feet via heading 350, and then outbound on the FMG VOR 332 degree radial to Pyram intersection, which is 22.2 nautical miles out, and then hold. Continue climbing in the hold to 11,000 feet. Again, transition altitude 18,000 feet. And lots of altitude, minimum safe altitudes to concern ourselves with here. On the approach, minimum safe altitude over here, 12,000 feet. Alright, that's the minimum safe altitude for this entire sector, except when you're on the approach, obviously. That's what these orange or brown lines are, right? So that's matching up with this here. So it's 12,000 feet here, 10,000 feet up here, 9,600 feet over here. So a lot of high terrain. You got 10,772 foot peak off to our left side here. We're going to be scooting right along. There's a 7,800 foot peak over here, 7,700 feet for probably some type of radio tower or something here. All the way back here, you've got 9,181 foot peak. And all of this is just left and right of our approach path, and then really just off our approach path, you've got terrain here at 6274. You've got some type of tower or something here at 5689. So we got to be really cognizant of where we're at in relationship to this terrain on this approach, right? So coming in out here, it's Spoon, like I said, direct from there instead of going to Ryan here. We'll go from Guerin straight over to Spoon, which is going to be over here. Okay, just shy of the Carson City VOR there, or that's the airport there actually, Carson City Airport. Okay, so coming in at Spoon, and then from there it's 5.6 nautical miles to Apamee or whatever, which is our initial approach fix, at or below 10,500 there, and then from there to Waggy, Epos, and then K-Leg and Duyep, or however you say it, are not in our FMC. We could put them in there, and I'll show you guys how to do that in just a second. I've shown it before, but we'll do it anyway. So again, 10,500. It's got it as a hard altitude here, so I'm going to change that. 9,400 at Waggy, 8,300 at Epos, and then at K-Leg 6,800, at Duyep 5,800. So I'm going to program those in just so we have them. Happy lights on the left hand side. Here's your pictogram, if you will, for our missed approach procedures. Straight up ILS decision altitude is going to be 536 feet. So let me zoom that out just a little bit here. Let's throw those waypoints in really fast. I'll do it the easy way. I'll pop this up for you. If you pull up your legs page, so you got Spoon, Apamee, Waggy, Epos, and then for us it just goes right to runway 34 left. So we're going to put in K-Leg first, C-A-L-E-G. So you just type it in, C-A-L-E-G. And we want it to come before runway 34 left, so we're going to click there. And then we want our altitude at K-Leg to be 6,800. So we're going to go /6,800. And we're going to put that right here. And that's a hard altitude we want in there. Now we don't need to execute yet. Let's do the next one. Duyep, D-U-Y-E-P, D-U-Y-E-P. I don't know why it doesn't put all these in there anyway. And then for that one we want 5,800. So again, slash first, then 5,800. If you want to put a speed restriction in there, you would put the speed restriction, then the slash, then the altitude. So those are hard altitudes there. Let's execute that for the moment. If you go to the next page, grab runway, I always say it that way. You just click on the line select key where runway 34 left is. I say grab it, and then put it right there, execute that, and that gets rid of that discontinuity. Now we did say that it should be a hard altitude at Apamee, which is 10,500, but on here it's 10,500 at or above. I'm actually okay with that. I think that's probably alright based on the terrain. But then 9,400 at or above here, yeah, it's not really perfectly clear whether or not it should be at or above, because there's a line on there that makes it look like it's at or below, but that doesn't really make sense. And I think that's just because they were putting some extra information there or something like that. Anyway, there's the gist of it. Pretty straightforward. So let's put this back on progress here. So again, it's 109.9 is our localizer frequency. I didn't do this till approach last time. Does anybody else see this? It sort of looks like almost like this checkerboard pattern. There's some X's on it, and I know what it's from. Watch this. When I turn off the floodlight, it goes away, but when I turn it on, you see how it comes on there? That's kind of weird. It was doing that on the front panel too. Let's bring those up a little more so we can see better. Anyway, doesn't matter. Doesn't this get out of the way? No, it doesn't. Anyway, sorry. Shiny things distracted me. 109.9er. All the way down, 109. And we can go down to get to 9 quicker. There we go. Put it on that one. 109.9 on this one. And you got to have it on both of them for it to be able to fly in auto land. We shouldn't be auto landing. We should have just enough light. It's going to be getting really dark as we get there, but we should have just enough light to see pretty clearly. And if not, of course, we don't have a lot of clouds and stuff, so we should be able to see the runway lighting just fine for the approach. Let me just make sure I haven't missed anything here. Doesn't look like it. Nope. Everything else is going to take place once we start actually descending, crossing 18,000, and so on. And so I will see you guys when we're getting close to the approach. Alright guys, we're about 10 nautical miles from Spoon here. Be making our turn inbound shortly. Got the speed brakes out to slow us way down. And as you can see, we're still well above 10,000 feet, so landing lights won't be coming on here for a little bit. I've got the terrain radar on our side. You can see the weather radar is on the first officer's side. It looks like we're going to hit some rain as we're flying the final approach here. I did, after coming off of our descent information or descent briefing, I did go in here and choose our approach speed. So it's going to be flaps 30, show it to you here, flaps 30, 132 knots. I did put our course information in here, and don't forget that we did put in our radio frequencies or our nav frequencies back here, 109.90 on both sides. So we should be good to go on that. I forgot to do those before ending that portion of the recording, if you will. So my apologies for that. But we're looking pretty good here. We'll be rounding the corner here shortly, and not long after that we'll activate the localizer, and on we go from there. We need to remember to set 11,000 feet on the MCP altitude as our go-around altitude. I did forget to start the clock. Imagine that. I mentioned it before we were leaving, and I still forgot. Nice view there, though, huh? Good stuff. Alright, so this should be a pretty good approach. You can see there's a lot of space between the mountains, a lot more than it appears on the approach plate. That's understandable, considering the zoomed out view, if you will, that you have on that approach plate. But the mountains are still there, and they're still something that we need to keep in mind as we fly this approach. So there's Carson City right there, and you can see the rotating beacon quite clearly. Actually, I will say in real life sometimes, not always, but sometimes they're not that easy to see. I was doing a flight down to Tucson one day with a friend of mine, and he was pointing out the Chandler Airport, I think it was, and for the life of me I could not see their beacon. I mean, it was driving me nuts. So, but anyway, okay, we can go and let's get those spoilers back down. Looking pretty good here. We'll be below 10,000 here shortly. Remember, it's 10,500 at or above at Apime, however you say it. And we're not quite there yet. About a mile and change from there. So we'll just kind of wait that out. We're not going to use any auto brakes on this. We've got something like 11,000 feet of runway. So I think we'll be just fine. Alright, there we are. Now we're on to Waggy 9400. So we're going to start descending down here. And we'll get these landing lights on here shortly. You can see again, looking at the it looks like we're going to hit some rain up here. Very light though, it's not real heavy, so we're not too worried about it. The terrain's not too bad. So there's your mountains on the left, and there's those peaks on the right that we were looking at. So coming up on 10,000 feet here, let's go ahead and get those landing lights on. Let's get those start selectors to continuous. Let's take a look at our approach checklist here. The approach is selected and briefed. The nav radios are set for the approach. Landing lights are on. Auto brakes we're not using. Auto spoilers, we can go ahead and arm those, and we'll see if we need them again, but I think we're probably good to go. And what else we got here? Engine start switches are on continuous. I didn't do that on takeoff. And then it's just gear and flaps from there. So let's go ahead and hit the localizer switch. Should grab it here. Try it again. Oh, that's not good. It's not grabbing the localizer for us. It's not the first time that's happened to me, is it? Okay, let's take this all the way down. We set it to 5,800, so let's go ahead and take it all the way down to 5,800. But that's not the first time that's happened to me, where it's not grabbing the... let's just hit the approach then. Single channel, glide path. Okay, well it grabbed that really quickly, so that's good at least. Let's go ahead and bring the speed down a bit here. First setting of flaps coming in. Actually, let's get the first 2 setting of flaps in there. You can see the runway straight ahead, so we'll just get set up here, and then once we're set up, we'll just fly it in. Next setting of flaps, again we're looking for, it's 132 is what we chose, so it's going to be 137. Let's get that speed to come down. We can go ahead and drop the landing gear now. That'll help slow us down as well, hopefully. We might need spoilers here. We're going to need spoilers. We're just going way too fast. Track car coming on a little jump. There we go. All the way down to 137. We'll watch the flaps, the flap schedule here closely. And next set of flaps coming in. Flaps, not flax. Oh yeah, we're way too fast right now. Boy, that came up quick, didn't it? That's alright, we should make this one without any issue. Another setting of flaps, and as those flaps keep coming out, we're getting a little more drag, slowing down a little bit quicker. And one more setting of flaps coming in here. That'll put us at flaps 30. I don't know what that dinging is. It keeps happening in the background. Alright, looking good here. Let's get the auto throttle off. I'm not sure what's going on with that, but I'm not liking what I'm seeing there. Okay, spoilers are retracted. Yep, we got it. We got it. Let's arm the spoilers. Start bringing it a little. We're still too high here, so we're looking all right though.
1,000.
We're a little high, but not too bad. There, you can see we're coming on a glide slope now. Just watching that speed. We're a little fast. There's glide path there. As far as our PAPI lights are concerned.
Terrain. Pull up.
I don't know why you're giving me a terrain warning here.
400.
Alright.
300.
It's a little wobbly coming in.
Terrain. Pull up.
No, I'm not going to pull up. We're landing.
200.
Alright, let's listen to the callouts.
100. 50. 40. 50. 30. 40. 20. 30. 10. 20.
Floated it a little. Not too bad. Not too bad. I've had way worse. Actually, that was pretty smooth, believe it or not. Come on, center up, baby. Woo! That crosswind's messing with me. Yowza. Woo-wee. Alright. My goodness. We need to exit over to the left here. Wow. The landing was actually good. So the Sim Toolkit Pro, hold on a second, I just want to make sure, get the spoilers back down. Sim Toolkit Pro is saying it was minus 35 feet per minute. We floated just a little, and I brought the nose back down just a little tiny bit, and she just kind of settled right in. So it actually worked out really nice. It was a little wobbly. We got a little low there. I don't know if you heard, I brought the throttles up pretty high on very short final there, and that was because our speed was getting a little low, and it's better to have a little extra speed by all means than to have not enough. Alright, let's get these off here. Actually, those stay on. Let's get the APU started. These guys can go to the off position, and strobe light can go to steady. Alright, and let me just bring her to a nice gentle stop here real quick. Track hour coming off, a little jump. There it is. And let's take a look, excuse me, at our after landing checklist. Speed brake lever is up, flaps are coming up right now. Probe heat can go off. Engine start selectors go off as well. Turn both of those off, and let me turn the dome light on here real quick. We'll turn it on dim. We don't need it super bright. That always helps to have dome light on. What else? Landing lights are off. Taxi lights as required. Strobe lights are off. Flight directors can go off. Transponder to standby. So let's get transponder on standby. Let's get the flight directors off. 1 and 2. Let's get his weather radar off. And we can turn off our terrain radar as well. APU, there's a cough in your face right there. APU has been started, and I'm going to go ahead and taxi in here. And when I come back, we will be pulling in. We'll take care of the shutdown and secure checklists. Alright, let's get these taxi lights off here. There we go. Being nice, I don't want to shine them in their face. Get that out of the way. Need just a little thrust here. And let's see if we can get her parked nice and smooth, shall we? I'd say that's pretty darn good right there, wouldn't you? Track hour coming off, little jump. There it is. Let's get that parking brake on. Bam, parking brake is set. APU is running. Let's go ahead and send that power out there. Shut down the engines. Fantastic. And let's go ahead and let's request deboarding immediately. I don't think they'll operate the jetways, but let's give it a shot. Operate jetways. Will they? No, of course not, because I refuse to spend more money on GSX than I already spent. That's awesome, guys. Way to go on that one. Thanks for that. Let's go to menu, FS actions, start with the ground connection, set the wheel chocks, ground power, air unit, there we go, and go to doors, forward and aft both need to be open, and then the cargo doors open as well. Jump up top, and we can turn the signs off. There we go. And let's start taking a look at our shutdown checklist. I know, I just turned the ground power on. Brakes are on, start levers are cut off, ground power is on, doors are open, fuel pumps can all come off, yaw damper can go off as well, window heat can go off. I'll read the checklist here in a minute. These two go off here, this guy goes off here, packs can stay on auto, engine bleeds can go off. Wing lights, anti-collision lights can both go off. Alright, now let's look at the checklist here. Doors are good, fuel pumps are off, cabin utility, IFE passengers off, signs are off, window heat is off, probe heat is off, electric hydraulics are off, all bleeds are off. Isolation valve can be closed, wrong way, there we go. Recirc fan on auto, it still is. External lighting off, emergency exit lights off, battery off, ground power off. But we're going to leave those on for the moment while the passengers debark, and that means that's going to wrap it up for this one, ladies and gentlemen. As always, I do hope that you enjoyed the flight. I know I most certainly did. This is fun. I really like doing these Life of Virtual Airline Pilot flights. We've gone a long way on these. I think what we're going to probably do is Season 4 is going to finish up this series we're doing now in the 737, and I think maybe it's time to move on to something a little larger. So we'll put that up for a vote when the time comes. But in the meantime, if you haven't already done so, please smash the subscribe button. I'm really hoping to get up to 10,000 by the end of the year. We're over 8,500, and if we get to 10,000, we're going to do a giveaway to somebody at the end of the year. So yeah, hit that subscribe button. Give the video a thumbs up if you like what you see. That lets me know I'm doing a good job. And if you don't like what you see, you can give it a thumbs down, but please do give kind yet constructive criticism down in the comments if you choose to do so. Please make sure that it's at least generally polite, or I'll just delete it because I don't need any negative nonsense. Alright, fair enough. And that's it. That's all. No more not true. We need to take care of 8 cars. Bam! So landing rate was minus 78.43. Nice, smooth landing rate. I like it. Let's stop the flight. File the PIREP. It's that one there. I almost cleared it. That would have been bad. Okay. Hey, listen, guys. If you don't know about Millennium Aviation Company or Mac Air, head on over to macairvirtual.com and take a look at what we got going on over there. We got several different divisions. You fly them all from one profile. We pretty much got something for everybody, and we got a great staff over there that really is very interactive and does a great job of keeping things moving forward and keeping people involved. So take a look, macairvirtual.com. I sound like an ad. Now that's it. That's all and no more, ladies and gentlemen. Until next time, as always, keep the blue side up unless otherwise instructed by ATC. God bless you all and have an absolutely fantastic day.